Hello, Internet, and welcome to the latest episode of Rough Drafts Competes, our Journey of Wrestling League. I am lucky enough tonight to be joined for the first weekly since the second gold pay per view by not just one, but two of my competitors here tonight. First of all, Walter, how are you doing, buddy?
When you counted us in and hit the record button, I had all the temptation of a 10-year-old boy to just yell penis very loudly, just to interrupt it. I don't know why, but it was nice to be a teenager for, the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
But I'm doing fine, other than the fact that time makes a fool of us all.
You know what? Your restraint here is both noted and appreciated, my friend. But we're not just joined by Walter, who had the second highest scoring card at the last gold pay per view, but our reigning champion, the man who earned a 5.75 in back to back pay per views now, Xander. How are you doing?
As always, the winner, the champion, all right, the reigning, pay-per-view dominator. I'm here, and I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here with you, of course. You were in last place, right? Can you remind me? You were in last place at the pay-per-view.
I may or may not have been in last place at the
Last
pay-per-view.
place? Okay, yeah. And Walter. Props to him. He's having some pop-up performances. But Walter, that was second place for you, not first. Second. Okay, got it. And now that we got that out of the way, yeah, no, I'm excited. Got another set of weeklies coming up and another pay-per-view for me to beat you guys in.
Wow.
I am well aware that second place is first loser, so you don't need to remind me of that. But as someone who said, I no longer fucking care about this video game. Not caring led to second place, so even less caring will lead me to victory. So I'm very excited to see what everybody has on tap and to show you the absolute drizzling shit card that I have presented to you for this evening.
That's a bold strat. All right, let's see how it works out.
I mean, unironically, it does seem to have paid dividends so far because me carrying a whole bunch at the last pay per view didn't work for shit. So we're going to see how it all comes together. I do have, because I finished last, I am going first tonight. And I have a card that I'm excited about from a storyline perspective. Am I confident that all the matches are going to be the highest rated thing you've ever seen? We'll see. But I'm excited to build on some storylines that have been in the background for a while now. And let's just jump on into this episode of Wild Magic. And it starts with a tables match between my co-host's favorite wrestler and my promotion, Joey Smoking Gun Ace, and Eli Chaos. Now, obviously, Joey has been on the rise within the Southern Centuries. He's done a lot of good work. Recently won a couple different matches, actually. Did not win the Battle Royale at Bonds of Destiny, but he's had a couple wins on the weeklies and is very much on the rise as a competitor. Unfortunately for him, he is going up against Eli Chaos, who is the second in command for the Eastern Elite, and someone who is desperate for a win. Eli also lost in that 20-man Battle Royale. And lost to Alpha Jackson, of all people, the second in command for the Southern Centuries. So Joey gets to stand in for a lot of vented frustration that the street champ of the Kiwis has had. And one of these two competitors is going through a table, as that is kind of the way that these things go in the wrestling world. Walter, who do you think I gave the W to tonight?
Well, I know you gave it to Eli Chaos, but if I gave up on Joey Smoking Gun Ace, I would be a hypocrite. So my choice is Joey Ace.
Okay. What about you, Xander?
No, I look at these two wrestlers and I think only one thing. Every time I see Joey, I root for Joey. If you give Eli a win, I don't care that he moves to 0-8 after this. I hope he moves to 0-10 if the next three matches are up against Joey Smoking Gun Ace.
Well, I have no intention of constantly beating up on Joey. However, as y'all have accurately asserted, Eli does need a win. He is going to get it here. It's a 4.25 star match. And Joey maybe takes a little bit of a morale hit, but he had a lot of morale to spare. Nothing.
Joey Nation is disappointed with this decision.
Very, very disappointed.
Look, I've got plans for Joey. Don't you worry. He is climbing up my priority list with the way that he has proven himself, because he got a huge overness boost recently. And he has caught my attention. He has my curiosity. We will see more from him. But right now, the Eastern Elite desperately needed a win, and Eli Chaos is the man to bring it to them. But we go on to another match between the Southern Sentries and Eastern Elite. Ryu Otake has actually been on quite the journey, because he is not a member of the Eastern Elite. I misspoke for a moment there. He used to be, but he left the faction, or he left the Western Watch, I should say, to join Independence, which is Arsenico's newest faction, the faction that is against the idea of factions, the rebellious faces currently trying to prove that you do not need this power structure that has been unfair and unequal in who gets opportunities. And Ryo Otake is certainly one of the bigger beneficiaries of that split, someone who's really risen up the card, despite not having many big wins to his name, just because people want to see what Independence does next. Riku Inoki, on the other hand, obviously a formidable heel in his own right, a member of Savage Vengeance, which is a tag that got off to some real early momentum, but has kind of struggled to find its footing since then. Riku is one of those tag guys that seems like he has struggled when he is away from his tag partner Jan Sanake, but this time around he got to choose the gimmick. He's like, I want a street fight. I want to bring it to Ryu, and I want to prove that I don't need my tag partner to get a win. I can do this. I'm good enough to do this. So with that, Xander, who do you think I gave the W to?
I think you give it to Ryu Otake. Okay. Big dubs for Big Ryu.
Do you agree with that, Walter?
I do, but it's big dubs for Independence.
Yep, that is exactly right. Independence is going to keep its streak. It's actually a hot match, which I love to see. Both competitors getting overness and some popularity here. And my first holy shit moment of the night, Ryu Otake kicking out of Riku Inoki's finisher. You do love to see that. You do love to see some creativity points. Sure, both of these wrestlers were already quite over, but getting to 100% never hurt anybody. But we have quite the promo here. Ignore the text, because the Heat promo is always very generic in what it has to say in game. But in the world of magically enhanced wrestling, Ariana has come out to the ring and explained to everyone that she is disappointed by several members of the Scourge of the Underdark. She thinks people haven't been pulling their weight, that they've been getting distracted by petty feuds, and worse, losing those petty feuds. And so she is going out and she's making a very strong statement. If you still want to be a member of Scourge of the Underdark, prove that you deserve to be here. Because if you can't step up, if you can't win when it matters, we don't need you anymore. And that message is directly it feels an attack onto Kagetsu, who is currently 0-9 as a competitor. The killer of the Scourge of the Underdark, who has yet to secure a single kill. What good is an assassin that cannot win in the ring? The crowd loves her. She's a great worker. She's put in a lot of big matches, but oh boy, does she struggle when she has gone up head-to-head with some of these bigger members of Sky Sentinels. And this feud against Briar Allison is going to push her to her limits. Briar has also struggled in one-on-one matches. She's currently at an 0-5 streak, but she's been in a lot of like multi-person matches, right? Those losses are, mostly losses in which she had a clear opportunity, is just kind of fighting among other very talented people, including other people in her own faction. But she also needs a solo win, and she's not going to bend over and let Kagetsu get that win just because Kagetsu's spot in the Scourge may be in flux. Briar wants it just as badly. And so with that, that said, Walter, who do you think I gave the win to?
I think you're going to give it to Kagetsuki here because, as you said, Ariana Black is disappointed in her fellow faction members, and this is a great opportunity for Kagetsuki to get a win back to prove, listen, give me more opportunities. I can show you exactly the type of assassin that I am.
What do you think, Xander?
Again, you keep giving me these options where there's only one possible answer. Okay? Like, sure, you might have a different answer. All right. But as a fan, all right, someone here rooting for one of these two, there's only one answer. And that answer is Kagetsu.
Well, I have some bad news for you, buddy.
You're choosing the wrong person. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Kagetsu has had a bad time, and she's continuing to have a bad time, specifically because it's a blow-off match, and
you didn't want her to be a main eventer anymore?
I am tearing her down so that she can be built back up as something new. Yes, Kagetsu the Killer is not doing much within this promotion, but what does Kagetsu become when she is not just a nameless assassin for the Scourge of the Underdark? That's the question.
0-10?
I mean,
does she become 0-10 maybe? I don't know.
But you have to tear her down to be built back up. Am I right? Am I right? Or am I right?
Kind of.
Well,
sometimes.
Well, for now, Briar does get the win. It is an overness boost for her. It is also a 5-star match. The crowd loved it. You said the crowd would only be rooting for Kagetsu, but I have to say
that's not what I said. I said as a fan. That's me, okay? I didn't say the crowd. This crowd, maybe they're not fans. Maybe they just happened to walk by and saw some wrestling, all right? You don't know.
I guess I cannot prove that
maybe
fans,
just like in New York City, you just had some guy handing out free tickets and we're like, please show up, all right? And they were like, it's free, so sure. Okay, I don't know.
You can be mad at Briar all you want. She's celebrating. The Sky Sentinels are celebrating. And Ariana Black just shaking her head. I think Kagetsu's days are numbered. As Kagetsu, at least. But we move on to a champion coronation. Because El Muerte Blanco has won the Flame Warlock belt. As per his victory over Prince Pretty Pink at Bonds of Destiny. And sure, he may have had to betray one of his fellow faction members, La Bestia del Infierno, to make that win happen. But this is him coming out and making it very clear that he does not care that the Hellfire Club has split on him, that the Northern Nightmare is not the united front that it used to be, because you know what? He's still the goddamn champion. And there's nothing that La Bestia del Infierno can do to get in the way of that. Certainly not tonight, because El Muerte Blanco is not stepping in the ring and does not need to give La Bestia that match. But this coronation does come before a classic, or what I hope to become classic, match between the Northern Nightmare and the Hellfire Club, specifically Hall of Ashes, who were very furious that El Muerte Blanco just let Bryce Dannenberg get away with betraying them and thought it was beneath him to deal with Judgment Day and with Bryce specifically. El Muerte Blanco had the one match and was like, I'm done with this. And meanwhile, Hall of Ashes has had to take hit after hit. And they're tired of it. They're tired of having to deal with Judgment Day, and they're tired of being disrespected by their own faction leaders. So they went with La Bestia del Infierno. While no bullshit, despite their 1-9 record, despite their losing streak, has continued to have some really nice matches. Their losses have mostly come against other heels. They have yet to lose to Hall of Ashes by any means, because Hall of Ashes, as you know, only has the one tag match. But they are They've been kind of the second runner to highway robbery, right? The tag that had the belt before the magic missiles came back that originally injured Red Arrow, and you know that No Bullshit is hungry to prove that that the Northern Nightmare will be fine without the Hall of Ashes. So, with all that said, Xander, who do you think I gave the nod to?
I think that you give the win to Hall of Ashes.
Do you agree there, Walter?
You know, I also concur. Breaking away from the main faction into a splinter faction, you need to keep him strong. You need to prove to Alberto Blanco that he is incorrect for not being as concerned as he should be. So the win has to go to Hall of Ashes.
It sure does. You've 100% nailed it. It's a 4.5-star match. A nice start to the Civil War feud. We knew that feud was going to have a hard start because the Northern Nightmare has now turned into a one reputation faction, which is nonsense, and I'm still mad about it. I don't agree with that mechanic.
Skill issue.
But here we are. It's a hot match. It's 4.5 stars, which I'm happy to take, and it's my third holy shit moment of the night. Asher Collins slapping the taste out of Vance Porter's mouth. So it is certainly set up everything that it needs to set up. No Bullshit does not look weaker for losing this match but Asher and Jackson, Asher actually got both of the eliminations here, and the two of them stand tall in this elimination match, which leads La Bestia del Infierno to come down and start talking some smack, not to El Muerte Blanco, who is, off stage very disappointed in No Bullshit's loss, but calling out Ashton Nieves specifically. Bestia is very clear. You do not deserve to be second in command. That should have been me. You were just king of the Thunderdome. You were taking on competitors who were not nearly on my level. I had to scrap and fight against a faction leader. I had to go up against one of the best wrestlers in this company. And you know what? I should have won. That was my belt. And just because El Muerte Blanco took it from me does not mean that I am any less deserving. But I'm going to put you in your place. And I'm going to show El Muerte Blanco why he was wrong to ever put his faith in you. And the crowd seems to love it. Ashton talks some smack back, certainly. But it's a hot segment that boosts both of their overness. I didn't know segments could go hot. That's great.
Hot segment.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Continues to get some experience. I am a little bit confused because it seems like I must have had a really bad Smack Talk segment if plus 25 only gets me to 59. But yeah, the feud is set. The road is clear. Ashton and La Bestia del Infierno are going to have their match at life or death for the King of the Thunderdome belt. And we will see if La Bestia del Infierno can get the belt that he desperately craves. But we move on now to a different belt. The Keepers of the Realm Championship between Flying High and the Shooting Stars. This is, I believe, a blow-off match between these two factions. Flying High are current champions. Hakai and Davida have held it for a couple months, which is now officially more than any other female tag has ever held this particular belt. And because this is a feud between two different Sky Sentinel factions, they've asked if they could fight this one in the Sky Arena, which is, of course, the wrestling ring in the clouds that both of our tags here have access to, which I was more than happy to oblige, because you have to imagine the cinematography here is going to be great. Shooting Stars were, of course, the first champions, right? You can't sleep on Cyan Orion and Malachite Bronson. They have proven themselves repeatedly in the past. But Flying High have proven to be a lot to take down. Xander, do you believe this is the time that Flying High are unseated?
Nope. No, I don't. I believe Flying High continue to win. And we'll talk at the pay-per-view.
Walter?
Yeah, there's no way you're having them lose on a fucking house show or a weekly show. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And unfortunately, it looks like the audience also saw that coming, because 3 3/4 star is not what I wanted.
Also, they're both face oriented and brawl decreased. Yeah,
Brawl
that's unlucky.
decreased was the one that really got me. That's unfortunate. It's.
I mean, at least the Keepers of the Realm Championship stays healthy.
Well, I mean, look at how. Remember that it was at one point silver. It's fallen so far from the range.
I did not remember that. So, unlucky skill issue. GG, get good.
Yeah, it's got a long way to go.
Yeah.
But also,
you're such a bully.
I feel like brawl matches are maybe not something I'm gonna be utilizing as much as I have, because
you know what the real issue is.
That I'm unskilled. You made that pretty clear.
Nope. With the brawl matches specifically, why do mine work so well? Because of the sponsors, exactly.
You're right. I didn't have the Arby's parking lot match, and that's on me. And right. I should have learned. But you know what I do have? A debut package for Techno Boy.
Techno Boy!
Techno Boy has been waiting in the wings for a while. He is already over with the fans. They've been hearing a lot about him back when he was at the training facility. He's been in there since basically the first month. He was one of the first people to ever get recruited to this company. And absolutely is excited to be here. He's feeding off of the crowd's energy, this techno gimmick of his. The man from the future is certainly something that stands out even among some of the more fantastical elements that magically enhanced wrestling brings. But as we always do when a new wrestler comes in, any faction that would like to grab him can throw someone as a representative in order to have that opportunity. And you will see, not every faction was willing to send somebody. Grim Oxley, of course, a member of the Southern Sentries, the hardest worker in the Indies, has gone back and forth in several different feuds of his. Very much a solid worker, the kind of guy that Techno Boy would need to beat if he's going to be a real contender in this company. Vinny Stacks, of course, comes from the Eastern Elite. Yet to get a win, but the 19-year-old richest kid on the block is certainly hoping to get some more opportunities for some solid matches now that 3 of his former faction mates have split off. Johnny Scott, of course, is here to represent the independence movement. Johnny Scott very much left the Western Watch as soon as the Prince Pretty Pink coup happened, and has been doing a great job on the mic. He's more of a singer than he is a pure wrestler, but he has been sent here all of the same. And then Ezekiel Cross, which I'm honestly a little surprised that was the other choice I made, because he's also Southern Sentries. I think I was planning on sending someone from either the Hellfire Club or the Northern Nightmare, but I guess in this context, the Southern Sentries just don't want one of the face factions to grab him. They've sent 2 people in hopes of keeping Techno Boy down. But the question is, Walter, can anyone keep Techno Boy down in his debut match?
No, Techno Boy wins.
Xander, do you concur here?
Listen, I'm rooting for fucking Techno Boy here. Fudging Techno Boy here.
Yeah, now's the time to worry about cursing.
Yeah. As my son would say, fudging, Dad, fudging. Yes, Techno Boy's fudging, winning hard.
Yeah, Techno Boy to the moon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a nice victory for him. He is going to be a 4-3 moving forward, and it's a 4.5-star match, so the crowd is in. It also starts a feud between Grim and Techno Boy. So we're going to see the 2 of them go back and forth. Grim is going to try to corrupt Techno Boy here with a headhunting feud. But Techno Boy, as of right now, does not have a faction because he has proven that he does not need one, at least for now. But in the wings, Arsenico is waiting to offer him a spot in Independence with open arms. So we will see how that goes. We will see it as a 4.5-star card. which I will gladly take given how some of those early scores looked. Is it the best weekly I've ever done? No. Am I happy with the things that needed to work? Sure. Really bummed out that the Keepers of the Realm Championship went as badly as it did. That's the only one I'm upset about, but
that's fair. That's fair.
Everything else did what needed to be done.
You did learn a lesson here, though.
More sponsorships.
More sponsorships for brawl matches. That's what makes them succeed. Okay.
That is fair. Well, we're gonna have to see if the Campeonato de Luchasaur has what it takes to succeed tonight. Eduardo had had a great card, a nice 5.5. We were very optimistic about it when he was on call, and then the call he had to leave, and it turns out everyone else did a fantastic job as well. So this is really an important card for the Campeonato de Luchasaur to try to kind of set themselves apart. Xander, what are you excited about when it comes to this card?
Listen, I'm already seeing some stuff on here that I disagree with, okay? Just in terms of how these matches are being set up. I, right now, am going to hop on a plane and go to Chile and have words with Eduardo. I don't care that he's sleeping. I don't care that he's got work tomorrow, all right? I'm going to go have words. I'll be right back.
Okay. It looks like that is a gone Xander. So it looks like it's the two of us here, Walter. What are you hoping to see?
I want to see a continuation of what he's trying to build. I think all of us kind of in general have decided that, with the exception of Xander, that we want to do a little bit more narrative focus, and we want to stop focusing so much on the individual numbers. So yeah, I'm very curious to see where he's going to continue going with the CDLS.
Yes, we will see where we start, and it's good that Xander isn't here, because his hatred of Eagle would blind him from appreciating the story of this specific match. Eagle and James Parker. Eagle, of course, was the original holder of the Nova Championship, the gimmick belt that is only pole matches, that Eduardo and the Campeonato de Luchasaur have loved and taken advantage of. You gotta love a good golden teddy bear on a pole match. However, Eagle and James Parker both knocked each other out at Deadly Gambit, and they both blamed the other one for why they were not able to secure the title. Eagle, this was his big moment, right? His big chance to prove himself. And James, of course, the fearless superhero, 0-9. He has been struggling to find his path in the Campeonato de Luchasaur, and with the amount of anger and resentment that they hold for each other due to the events at Deadly Gambit, it is no surprise that they are battling it out in a street fight. So, Walter, given that Xander definitely has not come back from a flight to Chile, that would take way too long for him to be back right now. Who do you think won the match?
I think at this point, a 4-3 face, I know he's 0-9, but he's right there on the edge of becoming a main eventer. Just feels better to have than a 3-3 heel that's 1-6. So I say you give this one to James Parker.
Now, I have to ask, has the hatred of one Eagle brought our other co-host back?
Yeah, so listen, all right, I just got back. First of all, this was the thing that I brought up most to Eduardo, okay? This match should never happen, all right? Eagle has no business being on this stage, and it's for that reason that I've talked to Eduardo, and he agrees that James Parker wins.
You can admit you forgot your passport and didn't actually go to Chile.
Yeah. It's okay, buddy. We all make mistakes from time to time.
Listen, I went to Chile, and I'm back now. You guys are listen. I don't know what your airport procedure is, okay, but there and back. And listen, I actually, I'll be honest with you guys, okay. I made a phone call to Techno Boy first, all right, and he gave me the tech, and I'm back, all right.
Yeah, Techno Boy is a good dude. He would definitely help out someone acting in good faith. But luckily, you didn't need to worry about it because James Parker's winning this match.
Oh, I know. I talked to Eduardo, like I said. So exactly, this is what I just said.
But yeah, it's 4.25 stars. It's a holy shit moment. James Parker putting Eagle through the announce table. James Parker now officially a main eventer. Like you said, Walter, that was clearly the goal. And with his first win in the Campeonato de Luchasaur, he is there. Eagle does lose 5 popularity, so it's a little bit of a hit, but nothing that can't be dealt with and handled in other ways. So a nice holy shit moment and a nice 4 1/4 star match to start the night. Which leads us to a submission tag match between Phantom Troop and Dominion. Phantom Troop, of course, at Deadly Gambit, betrayed La Sagrada Familia in order to join the Rising Sun. But, if you ask Phantom Troop, it's understandable. La Sagrada Familia has a lot of heels in there. Rising Sun is more of a face faction. And the truth is they just didn't feel like they belonged. They understood that having a faction was something that would help them, and they did wrestle better as soon as they joined La Sagrada Familia, but it was not the right fit. And they're hoping that their new place within the Rising Sun is going to lead them to bigger and better things. Meanwhile, Dominion has Ivy Chavez, who just had a big win at Deadly Gambit, really boosted her up the card, and CC Cruz, someone who has been hungry to prove herself. Definitely a lower ranked competitor at this moment in time, but someone who has had some good synergy with Ivy in the past. Sure, have they won a tag match together? No, but they have proven that they can put on some great matches even in those losing efforts. And with Ivy, the best that she's ever looked, this friendly rivalry is really going to potentially escalate into a more serious feud, with both teams trying to prove that they should be the next title contender for the women's belt. Xander, I'll ask you first. Who of these two teams do you think is going to win?
Yeah, I see 2 sets here that both honestly need a win, right? I think Phantom Troop needed a little bit more, even though they got the most recent win, just in terms of the gameplay mechanics. That being said, I like the idea of giving Dominion the win here. You break the losing streak that they're on, you push them further up that main event caliber duo. And again, you got Ivy Chavez, right? That's who you're hovering over right now. And Ivy's been on fire. So why not continue that motion? Listen, Keegan Cohen and La Fantasma, they're great, but they're not as good as Ivy is right now.
Do you agree with that, Walter?
Yeah, I actually do agree. I say you give it to Dominion here. You make this a bit of a longer term story here. You build a little bit of a feud. You let them kind of go back and forth. And, just because you lose the first match, it doesn't mean you lose the war.
I mean, that is very true. And I think Eduardo would agree with the things you just said. Unfortunately for y'all, he's applying that to Dominion. Losing this match is not losing the war, but Phantom Troop is getting the W.
Well, the fans consider it an L, so there you go.
It would appear that the submission match decrease is a very unfortunate roll of the dice. Phantom Troop getting a little bit of a boost, but Dominion, not too much of an L, right? The -3 popularity isn't anything that's going to hurt them in the long run, and they certainly have morale to spare. But unfortunately, yeah, a submission match with tags, I think, can be a little bit harder to pull off. And it did not work tonight, unfortunately, for Eduardo. But hey, it got the new feud started. We will see how things continue to escalate from here. But of course, we move on now to an event package. He is hyping up the next silver belt, Make Your Choice. And this has got to be mixed feelings for Eduardo. On the one hand, Philip Keller did help. This package would be worse if he was not assigned to it. On the other hand, it's not like the package went well, and so I don't think Philip Keller is out of the doghouse quite yet, unfortunately for him. But hey, at least it was a bonus. Could have been worse.
Philip, check PayPal.
Well, you won't want to don't turn to PayPal yet, because you're not going to want to miss this blow-off match between Psycho Circus and Omerta. Omerta, of course, has gone back and forth with Psycho Circus. Both, clearly just don't like each other. There's no love lost between these two. Omerta very rightly does not like the mad clowns that are standing across the ring for them. And the Psycho Circus has no need for these kinds of normies. Their styles are different. They do not believe that the other deserves a shot at the next at the belt. But with the Hiroshima Hotties reclaiming their belt at Deadly Gambit, they do need a new #1 contender. Of these two, Walter, which tag do you think is going to win the feud and earn the right to challenge the Hiroshima Hotties at Make Your Choice?
I think it's Omerta, and that's because I think Hiroshima Hotties are a heel tag team. And that's the only reason why I think it's Omerta.
What about you, Xander?
Well, listen, I could stand here and stare blankly forever, but I don't want to Mitch this. So, what I'm gonna say is, what I'm gonna say is that I think this week, all right, there's a clear answer, and the answer is Psycho Circus, because the answer is always Psycho Circus. I like Omerta, they're cool and all. They seem to have a lot of upside, but I don't care. I've said it. I'll say it once. I'll say it 100 times. When Psycho Circus is wrestling, I'm a Psycho Circus fan. And that's who's wrestling right now. Psycho Circus get the dub.
You know what? They say every now and then, the faithful shall be rewarded. And it is a Psycho Circus victory. It is a 4-star match. It is a nice overness boost for the two of them. Both of the Mad and Psycho, not hot yet, do need the opportunity to get hot, and that match helps. Omerta, of course, they're already hot. They can take a little bit of an L, the overness and morale column. But more importantly, the Disrespect feud with a 4 3/4 star blow off. Now there's a base hype increase for any Disrespect feud moving forward. Nice amount of experience for the elimination match, and another holy shit moment, Mad hitting Sigmund Coolidge with 3 consecutive finishers. So a lot of things went right. Maybe not the best score that Eduardo was hoping for, but certainly not a bad score. And one that, hopefully propels Psycho Circus to bigger and better things. But we move forward into an ambulance match. Ivy Chavez versus Juno Ripshaw. Ivy, we just saw her in the Dominion match. She is a little bit worn out, but she is going to be doing her best against Juno Ripshaw because Juno was not going to let Ivy go away without a fight. After all, they were both in an elimination match that Ivy Chavez ultimately won by eliminating Juno Ripshaw last. So Juno has come to Eduardo and says, look, I want a 1v1 match to settle the score, and I want it to be an ambulance match. I want to put Ivy in the dirt and prove that if it was a fair one-on-one fight, she doesn't stand a chance. And Eduardo's like, look, Ivy already has a fight on the card. And Juno said very clearly, I don't fucking care. She either fights me or she's a coward. And Ivy made it clear she's no coward. She is willing to step back in the ring and prove that despite having fought already tonight, she can handle Juno Ripshaw and whatever Juno's going to throw at her. So, Walter, do you think that Ivy is able to indeed stand strong, or is she going to suffer from some hubris here and potentially hand over a win to Juno?
I think she's going to suffer from some hubris here and lose to Juno Ripshaw. I am not a fan of wrestlers wrestling in multiple matches in one night. It does always take a little bit out of them if they wrestled earlier on. And Mrs. XPW, you're putting her into an extreme kind of match in an ambulance match. So give the win to Juno Ripshaw.
Do you concur there, Xander?
Juno Ripshaw comes out with a blind fury and smacks her with the door from the ambulance. Ivy Chavez, after being super hot in that last match, she's going down. She's going to bleed. This is going to be a hot match. Juno Ripshaw wins.
I mean, Eduardo's certainly hoping that it's a hot match. It is a Juno victory. And yes, it is indeed a hot match. You called it. 4 1/4 star, a nice morale boost for both of them. And Juno getting a huge popularity boost. Clearly a big win for her and really asserting herself here. The ambulance match did help a little bit with the rating, and we saw some nice experience here. No holy shit moment, but certainly furthers an already.
I didn't allow for that much. Okay, listen. I told the game we had a talk. I gave him the hot match. He's not getting holy shit moment on top of it. Come on now.
You know, Walter, from watching the VODs that Xander is keyed in to the game developer, And he can determine how many holy shit moments you get with a startling degree of accuracy.
Well, of course, he's part of the partner program, so he gets bonus. How it works. That's what happens when you're famous.
Yeah, it sure has worked out for him so far. We will see if you're willing to extend some grace to this next match, given that Eduardo has given almost everyone you picked the W tonight, as we get Caden Lee versus Jason Styles. This is a head-hunting feud, and Jason Styles, as the leader of the Carnival of Carnage, is feeling energized right now by Psycho Circus grabbing the win. And he's pointing to this as an example of why Caden Lee should be leaving a loser like El Tigre de Neon and joining winners like him and his Carnival of Carnage. Of course, Caden Lee, coming from the school of the crab, El Tigre de Neon, certainly that school has had some wins recently, even if Caden Lee has certainly been a little bit more back and forth. He would love to prove not only that the School of the Crab is superior, but that he does not need someone like Carnival of Carnage telling him what to do and what's best for him. So, with the stakes very clear, Xander, who are you giving the nod to tonight if you were in Eduardo's shoes?
Listen, if I'm in Eduardo's shoes, there's only one person I want to give the win to here. However, I'm not in Eduardo's shoes. Okay, I'm in my shoes, and by that I mean I'm barefoot right now in my home. Okay, and so because of that, Jason Styles is, in my opinion, gonna get the upset here against Caden Lee, much to the dismay of El Tigre de Neon, and it's going to be a just banger of a match. Street fight. You got the heel coming in with the chair. All right, putting the beat down while El Tigre watches just with sheer dissatisfaction, all right, as Caden Lee gets just put onto the pavement, all right, blood everywhere. It goes crazy.
Walter, do you agree with that assessment?
The funny thing is I actually do. I think Jason Styles wins this match.
Well, I have some good news for y'all. It's not a blow-off, so indeed, Jason Styles is about to win this match, and it's the best match of the night for Eduardo. 4 3/4 stars in a hot match that gives both of them a nice little overness boost. Caden Lee bled in the match, leading to a holy shit moment. As
I told you, that's what I said.
Jason hits Caden Lee with a hard headbutt, almost knocking them both out. You love to see that. You love to see Jason Styles getting a little bit of love. They are both now considered main eventers, and we will see what this means for the Carnival of Carnage. Psycho Circus joining Jason in the ring. They're all celebrating together, and El Tigre just kind of helping Caden get back to his feet so they can recover for next time. But now we have what Eduardo has described as a popcorn match. We've got Ashlyn Elliott versus CC Cruz. Again, we saw CC Cruz earlier tonight as a member of Dominion. But she is back out in the ring. Neither one of those competitors was willing to let that tag match that they owed Phantom Troop get in the way of their own singles aspirations. And that puts her in a friendly contest against Ashlyn Elliott, the Exogenesis and 03 2-2 face, who has not really been able to find her footing in this company. There is no gimmick here. There is nothing to get in the way of either of these competitors. So with that said, Walter, who do you think Eduardo gave the nod to?
Well, since he said it's a popcorn match, he simulated it.
Interesting. Do you agree that, Xander? Or do you think
so I was going to say something similar, but right now what I'm actually going to say is wait a few moments before you click simulate so that Walter and I can go get refreshments. We'll be right back, okay?
Well, I can't do that because he didn't hit simulate.
That's shocking.
Because here's the thing. This is a blow-off, and he cares about one of these competitors a lot more than the other. This is a squash, my friends.
Oh, boy.
And Ashlyn Elliott's about to have a bad time. CC Cruz gets the win.
God.
Now, unfortunately, it does seem to have hurt her overness because the match was not great and then went worse. Eduardo knew that this match was going to get dropped, so that was indeed always a risk here. But, Ashlyn is a neither of these women are great workers, so there was always kind of a risk here. But the squash definitely hurt. It ends up with a 4-star blow off. It was a friendly contest that no one had any hype in anyway. So just getting rid of the feud, freeing up CC Cruz to hopefully do some better things, probably for the best in the long run. But as it stands, that was 70 creativity points for a 1.25 star match. That didn't seem to help CC Cruz nearly as much as Eduardo probably hoped.
Yeah, that sucks.
I could have
really
just gone to get refreshments instead of watching that, but okay, thanks, Chase.
But you would have missed Davey Airborne, the new wrestler for the Campeonato de Luchasaur. He is not going to have a debut match tonight, but he is making his first appearance in the Campeonato de Luchasaur, saying hi to the fans. The fans are in. He is a 4.25 star feud here, and he is package, I should say, and he is already over, which should go a long way towards ingratiating him and getting him some better match opportunities in the future. And look at that, Vince Bailey, another positive producer focus. I don't think Eduardo's ever had 2 positive producer focuses in the same match, but in the same card, I should say. But congratulations on that front. Looks like both of them are going to keep their paychecks this week.
Well done, Vince. Well done.
Yes. But we have 2 more matches left. And it starts here with a ladder match, the Toki Championship between El Cuervo and Conrad Supernova. El Cuervo, obviously the current champion, came back with near Wolverine-like recovery in order to get back into the ring and reprove himself as a future face of the company. But Conrad Supernova, he held the belt first. And outside of El Cuervo, he has never lost a match. He's frustrated because he did lose that street fight to El Cuervo at Deadly Gambit. And so El Cuervo says, look, you're not willing to get dirty in the street? We have other ways that I can beat you. And this ladder match has now come to pass. Xander, who do you think that got the nod tonight?
I would actually like to see a change come tonight on the weekly, only because Conrad seems like he would benefit so massively from getting this belt right here. But listen, it's at 10:24 for El Cuervo, and the last time that I said surely you don't lose 24 popularity, it went south. So I'm gonna say that he should give it to El Cuervo here, just on principle.
That may be the safer play, but is that the play that Eduardo chose, Walter?
Yeah, I think you keep the belt on El Cuervo. Why would you take it off on a weekly show?
That's a very good point. And I believe Eduardo deeply agrees. But look at that. It's a 5
it works out anyway.
match.
There you go.
Yeah, both of them getting the nod. Conrad, if he can keep it up until the end of the month, will be on the path to being a face of the company. It's a hot match that helps them both over. Oh, by the way, it's a holy shit moment. 30 creativity points. You'll love to see it as El Cuervo suplexes Conrad off the top of the ladder. It's a great match. And, if you're Eduardo, you got to be looking at that and going, damn, that could have been my main event. But he had a different main event in mind, and it is the Iron Man match between Shuichiro Ishihara and Lionel Looney. This was, up until the last pay-per-view, the Campeonato Andino Championship, right? Ishihara had held it for several months, but when Amatradora Anderson cashed in, Ishihara and Lionel going back and forth gave Amatradora the opportunity to become a new champion. And so Ishihara said, look, I'm tired of this. I lost my title, and I need to be free to win it back, which means I need to put the final nail in the coffin with Lionel Looney. And Lionel Looney, look, he may have taken some losses, but he believes that no one is on his level. Ishihara may have that nice little star next to his name as a face of the company, but Lionel is just as good of a worker and very much believes that without the belt, Ishihara is just another guy on the roster. With that said, Walter, do you believe that Ishihara gets the win tonight, or does Lionel get some revenge for this feud?
I am gonna say it stays with Ichihara. That way he can move on and go back up the ladder and contest for the main championship again.
Do you agree with that, Xander?
I do agree. I think that's the direction it's got to go. I just you know, maybe I'm changing my mind. Maybe I'm changing my mind.
You're
Yeah, you
talking
know
yourself
what?
into Lionel?
I'm talking myself into Lionel here. Give it to Lionel Looney.
Well, you should have stuck with your first instinct. Ishihara
Oh
is
well,
getting the
damn.
win. It is 4.5 stars, which is a solid match, but not quite the Toki Championship. I think the idea heading in, right, is that Ishihara is a face of the company. This feud, I think, had a higher, or had pretty high base hype going in. But unfortunately, um, it does not seem to have worked out quite the way that he was hoping for. Still a very solid match. Still a match that got both people more over, more hyped. Was this not a blow off? I'm pretty sure it
This
was meant to
appears
be
to
a
not
blow
be a
off.
blow off.
Uh-oh. The game may have forgotten that that was a blow off. Which, if that is true, we'll have to figure out what to do with that in a bit. But I have it in my notes that it was a blow off, and I'm pretty positive that's what Eduardo wanted. But here we stand. At least the feud gets a little bit more hype, and at least the card only 4 stars.
Oof. And at least I love that. And at least the card only 4 stars.
I was a lot lower of a number than I expected. I don't understand because he only like two
Well, no,
matches should have been
that one's
dropped.
on, and then a 4 star, three and
Three,
a half star, and then a 4 star. Because
well,
the
no,
two,
because the one and
two and
one and a
yeah, the
quarter
1 and a
gets
quarter.
dropped,
Oh wait,
so the
no,
three gets
that gets
dropped.
counted. The 1 and a quarter gets counted because it's below 2 stars.
Oh, below 2 stars is always counted?
It's always counted. Yes,
That is not a mechanic that I knew. Um,
yes.
and I
Well, because it
definitely,
hasn't come up. It hasn't come up. I don't think. I don't
I,
think we've had any below 2 stars.
I mean, Walter's had some squash matches that I thought went pretty low, but yeah,
Yeah, but not 2 stars. It wasn't
No,
that low.
I
Wow.
genuinely don't think we've had it because when you and I were looking over to do the rescoring, I didn't see a single one, which is why I didn't mention it. But yes, if it's below 2 stars, it gets counted.
Well, that is unfortunate that you knew that information and I did not, because I would have counseled Eduardo very differently. Um,
That is
sorry,
a
buddy.
bummer.
Yeah, I mean, he went in knowing that that was like it was
I'm
very
pretty
clear.
sure
Like
I typed it, but yes, I didn't say it. So again, apologies for not
I
conveying that, but it's definitely in your messages.
in my messages,
Yeah, from when I posted the whole thing about how the scoring goes.
man. Well, we're gonna have to check my notes to see how mad Eduardo should be at me. Um, there were a lot of things we talked about with scoring back and forth, so it's very likely that I just
Yeah.
missed it. But that
Well, and I didn't highlight it, so apologies.
that loss will be everyone else's gain. I am sorry, Eduardo, for the bullying that's got to feel, because otherwise, like if that match gets dropped, it's a fine card. It's at least 4.25, maybe even 4.5. And that is just a pure mechanic difference. So feels bad, man. Well, despite that unfortunate squash match weighing on Eduardo's card, the show does go on. And we're going to actually mix things up a little bit. Xander has to tap out early tonight, so we're going to go to your card next. What can people expect from Glory of Legends tonight?
Yeah, I've got another flight to Chile, so I can't stay. But no, listen, there's a lot of stuff going on with the card. It's big things, it's good things, it's happy things, it's sad things. No, it's a lot of good matches. You guys are gonna love it.
Well, I sure hope so. We're going to jump right in to a 3-way match between Christian Quinn, Paisley Overholt, and Kyra Valyria. Tell us about how this match came together.
We got a lot of our lower mid carders working very hard here. Christian Quinn, of course, having moved up to the up the card. But right here, it's some big feuds. There's a street fight breaking out. Okay, Christian Quinn and Kyra both feuding with Paisley. Paisley wanting to throw the beat down. She herself, of course, trying to get into that next echelon of wrestler, break that 600 mold. And we'll see if they can do it.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've got a couple very talented wrestlers in this section. Even they may not be the most popular, but they've still got a lot to give. Walter, which of these three stand out to you?
Paisley is the one who stands out to me because I believe Christian and Kyra are going to get in each other's way, trying so hard to defeat Paisley that they're going to be able to squeak out with the win.
You know, I would argue that it would be really hypocritical if Paisley Overholt got the win tonight, because we know how Xander feels about 3-3s that are already over when they're for other promotions. So you wouldn't possibly give Paisley a win after everything you said about Eagle, right, Xander?
Well, maybe one of them is where they belong at the bottom of the card, and the other one, for some reason, is being given belt opportunities, okay? You're not going to see Paisley with a belt around her waist anytime soon.
But she is getting the win tonight?
But she is getting the win tonight, yes.
Hey!
It's a nice 3.5-star match, a big overness boost for Paisley, not that she needed it. Christian losing some overness is a shame because he was very close to getting up there. But Kyra getting some overness, which is kind of fascinating. I guess because the Kyra and Paisley feud went hot, despite the fact that it just ended in a 4.25-star blow-off. So Christian Quinn is the one who gets hit with the Battle of Forearms by Paisley, which led to the holy shit moment, your first of the night.
So he doesn't lose anything.
Yeah, I mean, he loses some pride, I suppose.
Yeah.
Paisley gets
plus
the
-2 -2. We're all right.
No, it doesn't look like Christian got the boost from Paisley getting.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Even though he's in the holy shit moment, but okay, sure.
You'll figure something out with him, I'm sure. Paisley not quite a upper mid carder yet, but she is certainly putting in some work to get there. But it looks like we have a few people coming out to the ring together here, Xander. What are we seeing in front of us?
You're seeing the heels, all right, that are down at the bottom of the card, surrounded by faces everywhere. And these guys have been taking a lot of losses, and they're sick of it. They're sick of it. They've banded together, all right? Cassidy, a newly turned heel. Xander Cage, someone that folks have seen in a lot of matches at the lower end of the card, getting beat on by guys higher up, lower down, everybody. Aiden Astral, another one who's been putting in huge work at the lower end of the card. And then Leah Jacobs, someone who did get a couple of wins, a couple of notable matches that were actually very hype. And at the end of the day, you know, they just say, hey, listen, there's a ton of faces down here. There's a ton of faces above us. And we need some room to grow. And the only way we're going to grow is together. All right. We can agree on some goals. And those goals are to basically run the ring. All right. To shock and pillage the factions that stand just above us. All right. And we can't do it in a straight up fight. We don't have that level of power. But when we work together, we can upset the balance. I'll come to your rescue in a one-on-one and make sure that if someone needs a, drop kick when they're about to pin you, I got your back. And that's what these folks are here to do.
Well, there you go. And that name, Kanoto Carius, how did that come together?
Yeah, listen, just very honestly, it's a supposed, okay, I say supposed, it's not confirmed, but it's a supposed name that was given to General George Washington, all right, by some lovely native folks. Who referred to him as the town destroyer. Okay. And these folks see themselves as just that. Someone that's going to come in and burn your town down in the night and run away.
While still being seen as heroes all the while. That's a very good goal for a heel faction, honestly.
Haven't you just stole independence from Chase?
A little bit.
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. Nothing wrong with that. Got it. Understandable.
I'm sure both of these factions can handle each other's existence. But we're going to see if Xander Cage can handle Danny Cole. Xander Cage 0-10, Xander. What has happened to this man, and how is he going to try to upset Danny Cole here in a Home Depot checkout brawl match?
Listen. You got a Home Depot checkout brawl match, okay? Home Depot, all right? We have a sponsor for the brawl. You know what that means? That means we're grabbing 2x4s. We're throwing power tools at each other. I might, push the lady that was doing the checking out, get her out of the way, throw a bag of chips, and then pick up that scanner and wrap it right around one of their necks. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of match we're looking for tonight. I'd love to hear Walter's thoughts. I want to know, A, not just who he's going to win, but B, how they're going to win. All right. Will it be the 2x4? Will someone get thrown through multiple panes of glass? Okay. Are they going to have a giant piece of sheetrock smashed over their head? I want to know what Walter thinks.
Well, as someone who worked at Home Depot when they went through a whole bunch of renovations, I can't tell you the last time there was a wired scanner at Home Depot. But, that was only like 6 or 7 years ago. Maybe they've gone backwards in time. Listen, here's the thing. You just talked up this brand new faction that's like, hey, if you're in the middle of a fight and it looks like you're about to lose, we're going to come in and interfere and help you win. It's very clear that we need to add a finish here and we need to add some interference to give Xander Cage the win.
I mean, it does feel like he is overdue. Is he finally getting the W tonight, Xander?
There's no finish, Walter, which is a good, a great suggestion here. But they're at a Home Depot. It's just the two of them. All right. Danny Cole out shopping Xander Cage, the ambush. Okay. So this is just an ambush attack at a Home Depot, and Xander Cage is going to come away with the win.
Wait, so you stole the Stone Cold Steve Austin Booker T shopping? Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay. Got it. Okay. Okay. Understandable. Dirty tactics. I like it. Steve Austin was the babyface in that feud, by the way.
Hilariously. That's why I bring him up quite often in terms of how I view our promotion.
That is a fun fact. By the way, your sponsorship did not help the Brawl rating. 3.5-star decreased effect.
No. Holy shit moment.
Holy shit moment. Yeah.
There we go. That's what we were rooting for tonight. Yeah. Xander got the win and the holy shit moment. The score tonight doesn't matter. We went over this in the pregame. I fully expect to have the lowest card tonight. Okay. Well, I talked about Chase with this.
I have good news for you about Eduardo's card. That might help.
Oh, yeah, true. We'll see.
Eduardo, check PayPal.
Yeah, Eduardo, check PayPal.
Well, right now we're gonna have to check out this match between Cassidy, the tough cowboy, and Love Hendricks, the big heart. How did this one come together?
Yeah, so listen, Cassidy and Love Hendricks, they've actually been looking at each other funny for a little while now. They've both been sitting around the same position. They've been in matches together, actually. They just were never feuding with one another. But Cassidy, with his heel turn, is calling his shot. The member Kanotakari is calling his shot against Love Hendricks, right? Love Hendricks, of course, being a core individual here. In the in Young Revolution, and so naturally, and Bright Future, and so naturally, Cassidy says, "Hey, you're the next face faction. You guys are out here feuding with the wrong people. We're the ones you need to be messing with, and I'm going to come out and show you what that's about tonight." Meanwhile, Love is saying, "Who the hell are you?" All right. I'm worried more about dealing with guys like Wolf Klein and Bear Winter, the guys that are right above me in Conquest or Death, Yuji Onishi, Green Arrow, in Juge, and of course, we're feuding with Brigantia. Who the hell are you guys?
Mm-hmm.
And wants to put Cassidy in his place.
Well, that's the question, isn't it, Walter? Will Love Hendricks put Cassidy in his place, or does the new faction, Kanoto Carius, get another W tonight?
No, because there's interference by the faction members of Kanoto Carius. Cassidy wins.
Well, I think, Xander, you agree with half of that statement. Am I right?
I do. This is also not an interference match.
Xander, listen. Yep. I know you're new to the storytelling part of this, right? But when you tell me there's a faction that's like, hey, we're gonna all cheat to help each other win, and then that faction has 2 matches in a row and they don't cheat to help each other win, but they still win. What was the point of the faction?
Hold on, okay. Hold your horses, all right? Hold your horses.
Are you adding a quad belt? Are you adding a 4-on-4 belt?
Just hold your horses, okay? Just hold your horses.
Okay. I mean, Cassidy is used to holding horses as a cowboy, so clearly that worked out with a 5-star. Look, man, I was trying to help. It's a 5-star match. Enjoy the best match of the night so far. Love Hendricks does bleed first, though it does not lead to a holy shit moment. It does lead to a relatively solid feud, and you have increased the popularity for first blood matches moving forward. So well done on that front. We will see if Love Hendricks gets his revenge. But first, we've got two faces out in the ring who have been feuding as top talents for a while. I mean, Xander, what is bringing them together at this moment?
Yeah, listen, Bear Winter and Sebastian Chaos. Sebastian Chaos, of course, being another member, right, of that of one of our key factions right now, which is Burn It All Down. And he, very much like General Hayashima, was sort of someone that would at times extend olive branches. He was one of the few people that was seen as reasonable within the side of Burn It All Down. And he and Bear Winter have been going at it for a while. They respect each other a lot, and Bear Winter, of course, being the one of the infamous tag members of Conquest or Death, which of course has several tags. So they come out here to have a nice discussion. Bear, of course, thinks that this discussion is going to lead to some productive discourse between two guys that are right outside that main event spot. And between two of the key factions right now, inarguably, in fact, the two key factions right now. And of course, that's not how this happens. All right. Sebastian Chaos says, you know what? Like my name, I am here to bring death and destruction. Everyone in Burn It All Down has told me I've been too nice. And you guys can see he hasn't been winning. He hasn't been collecting the wins he needs. And he says, it's time. It's time for me to remove these shackles of kindness and of respect and of treating anyone with anything that isn't a member of my faction and that doesn't want to burn it all down. And Sebastian Chaos beats the ever-loving life out of Bear Winter.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge moment. I mean, the crowd clearly didn't see it coming, but they sure did appreciate it, because that's a nice 4 3/4 star segment, a hot segment. As well as a Fighting the Darkness feud that is only going to push this top talent feud even further, and give them even more room to go back and forth. I mean, Walter, given what we just saw, I imagine it's going to be hard for Bear Winter to bounce back for this one-on-one match that was meant to be between two respectable faces.
No, Sebastian Chaos wins. Easy, done. Yeah. Clap.
Yeah, I mean, do we need to pretend?
Yeah, no, we don't need to pretend. Yeah, Sebastian Chaos just beat the out of Bear Winter. He's about to do it again.
Yeah, and it is going to be a 4-star match. It does,
and a hot match.
And a hot. Well, yeah, it was a hot match after a hot feud, so a nice popularity boost for them both. Bear Winter officially a main eventer. Clearly benefited quite a bit from being the one beaten down in the segment. Now people are.
I don't know. He gets beat up and he keeps winning. I don't understand.
Sympathetic babyface. Sympathetic babyface.
Of all the promotions, Bear Winter and Wolf Klein are the two people that perform the most consistently great to get the least possible positive benefit. Like everything they do, the fans love.
I think they have like I literally think they're like a combined 1 in 20 across tags, solos, and all that, and yet they have not stopped climbing up my card.
Yeah,
so
the people love them, and sometimes that's all you need.
This is also known as the chase effect.
The chase effect. True.
Absolutely. But we do have a couple more matches on this card. Including this ambulance match between Saki Slab and Wijaya. How did this come together?
Yeah, Saki Slab and Wijaya have been going at it for a little bit. Quite often, again, as members of other matches, right? You can see by their losing streaks. I'll be honest, both of these guys have basically been in like 3 or 4 battle royales, so their record isn't necessarily indicative of their talent. They are both extremely talented wrestlers. Okay, Wijaya, of course, has Krieger, his lieutenant, with him. And Wijaya did have a couple of notable solo matches not too long ago, and he wasn't able to pull it out. Krieger has been sitting here training him, getting him motivated, telling him, if you want to continue to be a member of this faction that wants to take everything away from Conquest or Death and for the people, then you need to start winning. And if you can't even beat Saki Slab, who doesn't have help, who doesn't have an entire faction behind him, who has no one, because Saki Slab has remained a solo, then Krieger says, this is your last shot. You do this, or we're looking to get rid of you. Meanwhile, Saki Slab, okay, has been telling everybody that, he's seen what Dietrich has done. And he goes, I don't need a faction. I don't need, all the help to be good. Dietrich doesn't even have a gimmick. That guy's just out here wrestling day after day, and the fans love him, and he's able to put on huge matches and beat every important person that gets thrown in front of him. And I need to do that tonight against Wijaya. I want to be the reason that Wijaya gets removed from Burn It All Down. I want to take something from them and show that factions might be important, but they're not everything.
That's a big move for Saki Slab to run in the face of what Burn It All Down has done. Walter, do you think that energy and that will is enough to get past Wijaya tonight?
No, because the last time I picked against Wijaya, Xander picked Wijaya to win just to spite me, so I'm going Wijaya wins the ambulance match.
Xander, has Walter appropriately anticipated your mind games here? Is this a Wijaya win?
Walter's correct, not for the reasoning, but he is correct. Wijaya is going to win this.
5 1/4
Don't care,
star.
still correct.
So much for this weak card. I'm expecting to get last, says the man with a 5 1/4 star.
Listen, the game loves me sometimes. I don't know what to say.
It sure does. Hey, look, another holy shit moment. What did he add? Wijaya suplexing Saki Slab from the apron through a table outside. A nice 2% overness for Wijaya there, who doesn't need it. He's already at max overness, but ultimately a very solid effort, and one that manages to push Wijaya up the card without dropping Saki Slab.
And I will say, Saki's rethinking now, do I need a faction? I mean, Wijaya is one of the biggest losers in Burn It All Down, and he came out here tonight and put the hurt on me. It's clear Krieger's coaching worked. Maybe I need someone to help me, and we'll have to see where that goes.
We will indeed have to see where that goes, but we've got
every time I want to get mad at Xander for throwing random ambulance matches on weekly shows and min-maxing everything, it just reminds me of that meme where it's the dude playing rock paper scissors and he's like, oh, I pick scissors, and then the other guy picks rock, and then the scissors guy is like, oh, of course you fucking pick rock, fucking meta. I want to be annoyed, but at the same time I'm the one choosing not to play the video game, so I guess applause to you. Yeah, random ambulance match. Who cares?
It clearly the fans are in, and we'll see. I guess how that leads, but we've got quite the match. So far it has been a night of heels, new heel factions, some big heel winners. Sebastian turning heel, but the next heel, I mean, it's Kenny Diaz versus Dietrich Mullen.
Dietrich Mullen. Don't even need to talk about it. Dietrich Mullen. Xander hates Kenny Diaz.
I imagine you have some story you'd like to share here before we click the button.
Listen, all right. There is story here. Okay, there's story here, and it's important. Everybody knows and loves Dietrich. Okay, Dietrich is the guy without a faction, without a gimmick, and he has not been able to be stopped yet. All right. He has been thrown against Conquest or Death and won. He has been thrown against For the People and won. He has been thrown against Burn It All Down and won. He is unstoppable right now, okay? And for some reason, one man begged for this match, and that man was Kenny Diaz. Kenny Diaz came to us in the head office and said, listen, I know we haven't seen eye to eye about stuff. I know we haven't agreed about things, okay? But win or lose, there's only one match I want tonight, and that's Dietrich Mullen. A, this guy's a superstar, all right? But B, I think I can be the one to put on a show with him. I think that I can be the one to go out there, all right, and really utilize his talents the way that he has been performing. I just have one request, and that request is that I'd love a member, okay? I'd love a member of a neutral faction between the two of us, okay, to come and oversee that match. And the minute that got brought up, Johnny Hangtime, who's naturally in the room, says, send Kai Galvana. Now, Kai Galvana has only one goal here, okay? Can you guess what that goal is, Walter?
Fuck over Dietrich Mullen.
That's right. His sole goal is to make sure that Dietrich Mullen cannot win tonight. because everything Johnny Hangtime stands for, everything Conquest or Death stand for, is to keep guys like Dietrich from making it to face of the company, from making it to even the echelon of popularity as the rest of them. And with that being said, Chase, who wins tonight?
I believe the notes say Kenny Diaz.
And you're damn right. Kenny Diaz gets the win tonight.
Kenny Diaz, an 8% overdose boost. Kenny Diaz, 4 3/4 star match. And the feud has become hot, and Kenny Diaz is over with the fans. And oh, by the way, it's a holy shit moment, because of course it is. A nice, 30 creativity points as Kenny Diaz suplexes Dietrich Mullen into the apron. The fans, Kenny is a member of Bright Future, and he is a hot member that gets them a little bit more experience as a faction as well. I will say it's going to be fascinating to see you navigate the renegotiation process, because theoretically you're going to get another shot to keep Kenny around since you've gotten his morale to a better place, and I will be fascinated to see how those talks go, because it seems like perhaps Kenny Diaz is not the dead man walking that he once was.
Kenny Diaz is not the dead man walking he once was. He's still not beloved at this company. But listen, when Johnny Hangtime says something's happening, it happens. And tonight, Johnny Hangtime felt like giving Kenny Diaz the win. And we had to agree.
Well, fans will also have
Understandable.
to, with Animal Fukuoka joining the company, debut package. What does Animal Fukuoka bring to this company?
Listen, Animal Fukuoka, okay, this is a guy that really impressed, all right? He's a relatively popular guy, very talented work wrestler, okay? Someone that our promotion looked at and said, you know what? This guy fits in perfectly with what we're doing here. Okay, this is the kind of guy that can come in and definitely, someone that I will be just straight up. He's a heel. Burn it all down are looking at this guy because he has a tenacious attitude. Conquest or Death are speculating that they might be able to add him to their roster. All right. Meanwhile, Animal Fukuoka right now, he's only got one thing on his mind, and that's coming out here and tearing apart, bringing the animal, all right, in him, and showing it to the audience.
Absolutely. And he's going to bring it in a special referee match between himself and Regan Awesome, with Serpentine Suprema as the bad ref, or with our special referee, I should say. How did this come to pass?
Yeah, listen, okay. Animal Fukuoka, it's his debut match. He's coming out, all right? And Regan Awesome, who's another very talented young guy, said, I want to be the first one. Let me be the guy that welcomes him in here and shows him what this is all about, all right? And everyone in the promotion agreed. Animal's first match, it shouldn't be with a faction, okay? Let's see what he's got. Let's see if he can take on one of our top young talents in a non-faction-oriented match. However, we want to make sure that everything's fair. We got Serpentine Suprema here, all right? The core member of Brigantia, okay? And we're going to have him put both of these guys to the test. This match will not be easy. It's not going to end quickly. There's not going to be any quick tap. This match is about endurance. This match is about putting on a show, all right? And the whole reason Serpentine is here is to make sure no ref makes a mistake, all right? And he's trusted, he's respected by enough factions that Serpentine is going to be the guy that ensures this match not just, all right, is fair, but that it goes as far as it can.
Well, with the stakes clear, Walter, who do you think is getting the nod tonight?
Animal, because he's new to the promotion. You got to start him out with a win.
That's a fair reasoning as any. Is he right, Xander?
He is right. Animal's going to win it. All right. He's a little bit older. He's a little bit hungrier, and he had some animal in him tonight. Okay. And Regan, listen, you haven't seen the end of this feud. These two are going to be wrestling for a little while. All right. There's going to be a lot to be had here. Regan wants to demonstrate that, hey, the guys that are here, they're meant to be here. You're new. All right. We'll see what you're made of. But tonight, first match, it's all animal.
It's a 4-star match. It does go over well for both competitors. It's a hot match. Animal Fukuoka is already starting to go over with the fans. And it's a decent start to the feud. So you've got to be feeling good about that. Obviously, you would love to have the Wijaya Saki slab match in that main event, given the way the doubling works. But I think at 4.25 star, you're feeling pretty good about that, all things considered.
This was a throwaway. I like straight up. This was a throwaway that ended up going a lot better than we expected here at Glory of Legends. Okay, and you know, at the end of the day, you can't be mad about that. We got to debut our newest wrestler. We got to show our new heel faction, and all of the heels tonight got to put on a performance, Kenny Diaz included.
Well, it was a full heel night, which makes sense for our heel co-commentator here. Xander, any final parting words before you head out tonight?
Yeah, I hope Walter scores lower than me. All right. That being said, I got a little glimpse at his card. I'm a little concerned. Okay, it looks pretty spicy. I can't wait to watch it. Everybody that, of course, is watching this at home, make sure you cheer on this guy's card. But I still hope it does worse than me. So yeah. With that being said, I appreciate you for having me once again, and I look forward to whooping your ass later in the week.
Always a pleasure, Xander. We will catch up with you at the next weekly. But for now,
sounds good.
Walter, I'd love to hear more from you on what people can expect from SWA Primetime tonight.
Well, see, the funny thing is this is also a throwaway card. This is utilizing some underutilized talents. You know, just giving some other people some things to do. I would say it's mostly like a makeup for some people that were not on the big pay-per-view card. This is probably like some of the pre-show matches from that we're gonna air. You know, there's probably a couple more promos and things, packages on here than I would normally do. But there are some really, really good matches. In our main event, as you can see on the screen, we do have Wesley Lee Morris versus Kyle Lucha. Wesley was furious following his loss to Tyler Dynamite, demanded someone to take his vengeance out, his revenge out, his fury out tonight. And Kyle Lucha has been, you know, arguing with me constantly, saying I deserve to be higher up the card. I deserve to be in some of these matches that aren't just for the Theodore Vincent title. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Fine, prove it. Go up against Wesley Lee Morris. Let me see what you got tonight. It is a feud there between Chort and between Eternum, so maybe a little bit of revenge there for Kyle Lucha. But it's funny I mentioned Wesley Lee Morris because we begin with the champion Christopher Devlin and Dominatus Tenebris in the ring to make an important announcement.
Wow, what an announcement too. Wow, minus 100 experience for Tyler Dynamite getting kicked out. I mean, this is we're finding how the reputation system works together, because his popularity got dropped by just a little bit, but it turns out if you have a hot main eventer leaving a faction, the game really does not care for it.
You know what? It's fine. I understand. This is my fault having too many heels in my promotion, and with Craig Opley being gone from the promotion, you know, I needed another baby face, and Tyler Dynamite staying with Dominatus Tenebris makes no sense. It's time for him to go out on his own and see what he can show us.
It's a minor popularity hit for him, but a popularity boost for everyone else in Dominatus Tenebris, as well as a nice overness boost for them as well. At a 5-star segment, the crowd is in. And I will say, as someone who may have been impacted by this exact mechanic multiple times, I do think it should probably be revisited. Like, the idea that someone hype leaves a faction just means that you've enabled more stories with the hype faction. Seems like a lot of experience to lose for one guy, but the game is what the game is, and luckily I think a 5-star rating is going to go a long way towards easing whatever pain may come with that. But we do have a very interesting match here between Axel Dust and Assassino, or Eddie Davis, excuse me, who is accompanied by Assassino. How did this match come to pass, Walter?
Yeah, so here's the thing, you know, Axel Dust and Assassino, they've been feuding for a little bit. Axel Dust had feuded with Christopher Devlin for a while, fallen down the card a little bit, but he, he kept Assassino busy a couple of weeks ago while the baby faces of the Lads beat down Christopher Devlin. There was a fight backstage that Assassino couldn't help with. So, you know, Axel Dust wants more of Assassino, and Assassino's like, no, fuck that dude. Like, I want nothing to do with Axel Dust. We're done with him. So, you know, Axel Dust said, well, fine, I'll fight Eddie. Come on, Eddie. You want to work your way up the card? Come beat me. I'm a former challenger for the world title. Like, if you beat me, imagine what that could do for your career. And Eddie Davis says, yeah, you know what, bruv? Absolutely. Fuck you. Let's go. Let's fucking fight. So that is tonight's opening wrestling match following the Dominatus Tenebris segment.
Yeah, you know, I love seeing Axel Dust get a little bit more of a nod here. Obviously, the fact that he was previously competing for a main title in this company with a couple of those Devlin matches, it makes sense that he continues to fight other Dominatus Tenebris members. And I think as much as Eddie Davis and an 0-7 losing streak would love a win here, it feels like this is Axel Dust's time to shine. Is that right?
You would be correct. Axel Dust is going to take this, continuing to build on that feud with Assassino. And perhaps at the next pay-per-view, perhaps next week, at some point, we will see Axel Dust and Assassino in the ring again.
Yes, and I cannot wait for that. I'm glad, you know, it's a 4-star match, which is solid, and Eddie Davis still maintains his overness. 1% doesn't hurt him too much in that regard. But it is also like Eddie Davis actually got to main event status with the faction segment, so he remains a main eventer even with the loss here. While Axel Dust, it's just a little bit of a climb, but every bit counts as he fights his way into the main event. So well done to him tonight, a well-deserved win. But it looks like we have the return of one Ray Sangre to the roster after some time in trading. What brings these two back together?
They used to be a tag team, and when Ray came back, they weren't a tag team anymore in the game. So I needed to put them back together as a tag team. So here we go. Use a package. It's really that simple. I wanted them to be a tag team. I could use some more babyface tag teams, especially kind of like lower card tag teams, because I got a lot of heels. So here we go. Babyface Baja Lucha is back.
Yes, I had to come back, give each other a hug, happy to see each other again. The fans have to be happy to see Ray Sangre, a little bit of an overness and popularity boost for him. It'll be great to see what he does now that he's had a little bit of extra time in the kiln to kind of build up some of his skill set, and we'll see what Baja Lucha has in store for us. But for now, we move to a 3v3 match. People are going to notice there is no gimmick on this card. These are all some raw wrestling matches where people are going to have to prove themselves through skill alone. And that leads us to a 3v3. How did this one come together? Because Prodigy, of course, I think people are used to seeing wrestle, but it's an eclectic mix of opponents on the other side.
You know, again, I'm trying to give some guys that aren't being used as much and that aren't really associated with any factions some time to shine here. Prodigy came up to me and said, hey, boss, listen, what the fuck is going on? We'd like to wrestle. We'd like to be part of a card here. And I said, listen, like, you guys haven't been involved in any plans so far. I have some ideas for you guys kind of down the line here, but I can't promise you anything specific. But you know what? Tonight, let me at least get you in the ring. Let me get some bodies up against you. You know, Raka's got a feud with you, Devontae. Why don't you guys, you know, I'll go see if he can grab a couple guys to see if they can wrestle you and just, you know, see what happens here. So Raka was able to find Kevin Bates and Viper Gaston. And they were like, yeah, sure, we'll wrestle. We'll earn our paycheck tonight. So that's where we got this. Prodigy versus Raka, Kevin Bates, and Viper Gaston.
You know, it's nice to see Kevin Bates get some work here, but I have to say, the rules of wrestling tell me that the trio that are used to working together should beat the trio that is not. Does that philosophy hold here tonight?
Listen, sometimes the obvious answer is the correct one. Prodigy does win.
Prodigy wins. It's a 3.25 star match, which it looks like Tyson maybe helped with a little bit to get it that far. It's a tough match just given the a couple of people maybe a little bit lower work rate than average, and there's not as many storylines playing into this one, but it's a nice win for Prodigy. It continues the feud between Raka and Devontae Harrell, even if it doesn't advance it too much. And we'll have to see what Prodigy does next. A win under their belt hopefully is not the end of what you have in store for them. But we have to move on because there's another set of tag teams that are also very much excited to be on this card.
Yeah, Pocket Rocket, they have been a little bit upset. They haven't been used as much. The Profits, a little bit lower down the card here. But Pocket Rocket, I wanted to get them back in front of people. I wanted to remind people exactly who they were, get them back out in front, because we do have, we have the newer champions in Hollywood Bound. And, down under, they lost their shot, and now they're going to have to work their way back up the rankings if they want to take another shot at them. And, now I can really show off again the depth of the tag team division that we have. Remember, we do have that tag team tournament that's going to be coming up with the semifinals and the finals at the Harold G. Vincent Memorial Cup, which is only 3 months from now. So we will have that coming. So this is, again, get the tag teams back out in front of people, because that was the division I was most excited about. So Pocket Rocket and the Profits get back in front of the fans.
Yeah, it's nice to see the tag division get some love. I can very much understand it is hard sometimes to fit in the tag division when there are so many individual wrestlers and their stories that you want to push forward. But I think this Disrespect feud gives Pocket Rocket some love and some room to grow. I will say, given how you described that match, I imagine this is Pocket Rocket's match to lose. Are they securing the W tonight?
You would be correct. Pocket Rocket will take the win here tonight.
And what a match that is. That's a 4.75 star. A reminder that you can still have some great matches without any gimmicks involved whatsoever, as long as you get some top tier wrestlers to participate. And that's a 3-star work rate from everybody involved in the match. Not the hugest popularity changes on either side, but that stability isn't always a bad thing. And Pocket Rocket, the 2% morale boost is certainly nice to see. A 2% morale hit to the Profits is a little bit of a bummer, but with tags getting more attention as you get closer to the Theodore Vincent Memorial Cup, we will have to see how that continues to play out. But now we go to a recap package, and it appears that you are focusing in on the Cobra Viper feud. Why did you choose to re-highlight that one?
Well, because that is probably the most important thing that happened going forward from the last card. This is something, the new attitude that Cobra Gaston has now been showing since he's been part of the Scribner family with his girlfriend Livia Scribner. I just felt like it was something that we wanted to highlight. We wanted to show, hey guys, this is something important. And Cobra asked for some time to talk to the fans in the ring and decided to come down for a promo, which, it went pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, all things considered, Cobra, he's lashing out at fans who are criticizing him for his decision to attack his brother. I think having Livia in the ring, I imagine the two of them are bouncing off each other very well. Any particular details in this promo that you want to highlight?
I think the biggest thing is going to be kind of highlighting the dead weight was Viper, right? I've been doing this by myself or with the help of my gorgeous girlfriend, Livia Scribner, and it's been without my brother. He's been the one holding me back. When we've had our tag matches or our multi-man matches, Viper's been the one looking up at the lights at the end of the match, and I'm done with it. I'm done with the past. past. I'm done with my former friends, my former family. I have a new family now. I have a new me. And that's going to be what carries this Theodore Vincent title to the top.
Absolutely. He's done such a good job defending it so far. People can be mad at it, but he is yet to be proven wrong, and we will see how far he can really go. But oh boy, do we have a hype match here. Drew King versus Patty Gilman. How did this match come together?
Yeah, so Drew King, has been courting Jules Murphy from the lads, has been trying to convince him, hey, buddy, come join the kingdom. You'll have more opportunities, right? Jules Murphy did defeat Drew King to get into the final, to get into the title match that happened at Schools Out with Christopher Devlin, that four-way match that unfortunately he was unsuccessful with. And, Drew King, there was some rumors that maybe did he take a dive? Did he purposely lay down and let Jules Murphy win to sort of get into his head and be like, yeah, dude, I'm the one that did that for you. You don't need the lads. You need me. Patty Gilman didn't really like that. So he's here to stand up for the honor of the lads, to convince Jules Murphy that the lads are really where he should be and that Drew King is a no good conniving son of a gun, and that he shouldn't be trusted.
I mean, trusting a guy like Drew King is always a danger, to be sure, but that does not mean that he's going to be walked on over. Especially, I just look at a 4-4 26-year-old heel who hasn't gotten a win yet. And while Patty could also use a win and definitely wants to get over so he can be a nice 4-3 face for your company, I feel like it's time for Drew to get a W. Do you agree with that? Is this Drew's
Absolutely,
moment?
this is a Drew King win. That's the point. It's to get him a win. It's to get that zero off his back. Show that he is better than the third, fourth, fifth guy that's part of the lads, and that Jules Murphy really does need to to think about moving on, moving to a different faction, moving somewhere where he isn't in the shadow of a Connor Cretin or of a Craig Opley.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very nice win for him. 4.25 star with some cool spots here. No holy shit moments tonight. I was kind of hoping that with Patty Gilman as a stiff worker, the odds, certainly increase substantially with stiff worker as a trait here. But it's still a great match. The fans are very much in. It's a nice W for Drew King, and Patty's, his reputation is going to be just fine. We'll be very interested to see how this feud continues to play out. Now that it's started, there's, I'm sure, plenty of room for some back and forths down the line. But what's interesting here, I think, more than anything, is that Raven, his manager, actually getting in the ring for the first time in quite a while. The glorified badass is stepping up to fight against 3 other talented female wrestlers in this promotion. How did this come to be?
Again, this is utilizing some of the underutilized women in the promotion. Raven specifically really has not been touched too much. Amanda Ace has been a little bit upset that she's sort of been a bit player in the Angelina Cardinal renaissance, her rise to the top. She does call herself the Ace, which normally being the Ace would mean that you're the top of your division or the top of your company, and that's just not something that Amanda is right now. So this is a great opportunity for her to kind of stand out from the rest of the crowd. And Trixie and Nora, some of the other kind of like lower mid carders that we have here, they're just trying to stand out. They're trying to convince me to give them a shot at something, whether it's Brooklyn Cambril, whether it's just, a number one contenders match, whether it's throwing them against the Empress. I mean, they would need to do a lot to earn that right. But this is just kind of a nice start to see if anybody can kind of emerge from that murky kind of mid-card women's division that we have.
Absolutely. And I mean, look, I think Amanda getting a win would make some sense. That's 756 popularity and at 76 overness. If this was a gimmick match where I thought that the overness boost might be substantial, I'd be looking hard at Amanda Ace because a 3-3 is a lot better than a 2-2. Nora Nunes also worth highlighting just because, sure, she's lost 6 matches in a row, but she's on the verge of falling to a lower mid-carder. And as a 3-star worker, you want to give her some opportunities. But ultimately, Raven's a 4-4. And if you have plans for her beyond being a manager, it feels like you want to give the 4-4 some love, because the other wrestlers here are projects that can get there, but Raven's there. Who did you give the win to tonight?
Yeah, I gave it to Raven because Raven is there, and I need to inject kind of someone else at the top of the card to help give Angelina Cardinal and the Empress and Aiko Haruka and some of these other ladies somebody different to wrestle with.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, it does not seem to have fixed Amanda Ace's morale. She does take another hit here, losing this match. And the 3.25 star, I am certain, comes from the fact that we have multiple 2-star workers in this match. The game is pretty punishing on that front. But, it does keep a couple feuds going. Specifically, the Eternum versus Kingdom feud continues to roll on. And hopefully Raven, with that popularity boost she got, she's now only 26 points away from being a main eventer in her own right. And so it'll be very interesting to see what you do with Raven as an individual performer beyond just being a very talented manager. But
absolutely.
That's not where this card ends, Walter. It ends with Wesley Lee Morris versus Kyle Lucha in an Eternum versus Short Civil War match. What brings these two competitors specifically against each other?
Yeah, like I said, it's Wesley Lee Morris was furious after losing to Tyler Dynamite at Schools Out, demanded some competition tonight, demanded to be in the main event. He knows he's a little bit tired, but he needs to prove to himself, to Ethan Wild, to the Killers, to the fans, to everyone that Tyler Dynamite beating him was a fluke. That he is a monster, that he is someone to be truly feared, that he is someone that baby faces are going to need to get through before they get to Ethan Wild. And unfortunately, his ire has turned to Kyle Lucha, who just happened to be the first person to walk in the backstage door when Wesley Lee Morris was yelling at me and said, "I'll fucking fight him." And Kyle is like, okay, cool. Hey, I'm on the card. I was a little disappointed I wasn't on the pay-per-view. And a win against Wesley Lee Morris would be huge for someone like Kyle Lucha to prove that he belongs higher up the card.
Absolutely. I mean, I look at Kyle Lucha, 4-4 face, hasn't gotten a win yet. A win would mean a lot to this guy. And having a main eventer 4-4 face is something that your company I love the reign of the heels that are dominating your belts at the moment in time. It's gone very well overall. But having a face that can really stand the test of time would be helpful. And I think Wesley Lee Morris, can probably take the hit. That said, I think you've gone in a different direction on this one.
You would be correct. Wesley Lee Morris wins this because I need this monster heel to get a win back after losing a bunch to Tyler Dynamite.
That is fair. It does make the Eternum Short feud hot, which is important.
Yes, that was what I was looking for.
Gives you some more wiggle room there, and it's nice to see that feud get a little bit more attention and a little bit more love too to this individual feud. This starts a feud between the two of them that I think has some legs in the long run, and I'll be very curious to see how it develops. And it's going to be a 4.25 star feud, a 4.25 star card, excuse me, which means that you and Xander are tied and only a quarter point behind me as we head into the next set of weekly matches. And if you look here, Walter, it does appear that the not using any gimmick matches and not involving too many hype feuds, as you focused on a lot of lower cards and a lot of new gimmicks, did lead to a minor fan hit. Not nearly as many fans as Eduardo lost tonight due to that squash mechanic that we've now learned is maybe a little bit more punishing than we realized. And meanwhile, I'm happy to eat those fans up. So, I mean, how do you feel having wrapped this one up, given that you went in feeling like this was a little bit of a throwaway?
Hey, it's not too bad. Not too bad. I think Xander and I both, for this being kind of throwaway cards, are pretty happy with what we did. Obviously, him and I had very differing views on what a throwaway card means. He had 2 ambulance matches and got a whole bunch of holy shit moments to kind of help recoup those costs. And I went in here. I said, listen, we're going to try and do this as cheaply as possible, and didn't really get much in terms of a payout for creativity points. But I wanted to give some rest to some of the guys that I've really been kind of using a lot. Wesley Lee Morris being the one exception. 41% fatigue there in the final match was a little bit scarier than I had anticipated. But yeah, overall, I'm good with a tie for second place for tonight with the guy that ended up winning the pay-per-view last time. So we'll see what we do next time.
Absolutely. There's plenty of room to grow and improve from here. It'll be very close. Don't rule out Eduardo just because that 4-star card happened. He had 2 different 5-star weekly cards at the last set of weeklies that we did. And I don't think that squash situation is going to happen ever again. That's a mechanic that I think he is going to write off entirely moving forward. So with everybody close, this is going to be very interesting to see what comes next. But you will have to tune back in to the next weekly to see how that all goes. For now, Walter, where can the nice people at home find you?
Yeah, as always, you guys can find me at C80s_LOL on Twitter and at C80s.bsky.social.
Absolutely. You can find me at Chase Wassenaar on both B-Sky and Twitter. I try to spend a little bit more time on B-Sky because it's a little bit better for my sanity, though the nature of what we do means that we're glued into everything. So definitely reach out if you have any thoughts to share. Hey, I'd love to hear if any of our viewers have very strong opinions about what the WWE's been up to. It seems like a lot is happening. And I am very curious to see how everyone comes down. But for now, I will just say thank you all for watching. And until next time, goodbye, Internet.